If you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering, damn, I wish there was a shop system that existed online that kept track of my player currencies, handled transactions, and also doubled as an equipment system that saved the player's last purchases and was built in a completely flexible way so that I could use it outside of simple item granters. Well, fellow Epic developer, do I have the thing just for you. This is Refocused Game Shop Manager. The Shop Manager works in three parts: the Reward Manager, the shop itself, and the Currency Manager. Obviously, if you want to buy stuff, you need to have the money or the currency. So in this case, I'm using dollars, and it'll be displayed at the bottom left. How rewards are handled is you will have triggers that will be linked to a number. So in this case, it's 100. When the trigger is activated, it'll grant the player 100 of that currency. So over here I have my second trigger. If I step on it, will give me 300. You can link these up to anything. They are triggers. So let's say I get a kill, you link that kill to the trigger. Then you have your shop. A shop is devised in two triggers. This is a shop. Essentially, you have your grantor trigger and you have your transaction trigger. The transaction trigger checks if the player has enough currency to activate the grant trigger. And the grant trigger simply grants the item that's connected to the shop. So take this case for example. I grab $100 and I come to the shop that costs $100. If I press this button that is connected to the transaction trigger, it should remove $100 and grant me the item. Awesome. Now let's say I come over here and I want to buy the $200 costing one. Well, if I step on the trigger, it will tell me I do not have enough money. So let's say I come back with $300 and I step, there you go. It gave me a mask. Awesome. And then again, don't have enough money. I come back with more. Awesome sauce. So this is how it works in game. So in the editor, this is what my shop manager looks like. So over here, you will have a slot for a game manager. Now this, I recommend using a game manager to handle player spawning. I gave the option over here to handle it within the shop manager itself, but the game manager will be included with the package, so I recommend you use it over here. But if you already have a game manager and you don't want to handle the spawns there, you can just use the spawner slot that I included over here. But over here we have our manage shops, and when I add an element, so I'm just going to delete everything. When I add an element over here, I will get a shop. So a shop comes in multiple different parts. First of all is the shop ID. Every shop needs to have a different ID. This is what's going to allow re-equipping of certain shop. So essentially when a player spawns and they already bought a certain item and we set it that over here it's save equip, then the shop will know exactly what item to trigger. Then you also have the option of making your shop an unlockable. Essentially, if this is ticked, once the shop has been purchased, once the item has been purchased, the player will no longer need to spend any more money to reacquire more items. Then you have the save equip, which I just explained. It's essentially, once it's ticked, that item will be re-equipped to the player when they respawn. So this can be useful for cosmetics, for weapons, or even for tycoons. Like, think about what if you want your entire tycoons to be parts of a shop, and if you tick save equip, it'll just reactivate the trigger and you can just reacquire it, rebuild your tycoon. Then you have your item price. It's pretty straightforward. You can set that however you want. Then you have your two triggers. So the buy trigger, or the grant trigger, is the trigger that simply activates whatever you want to happen. So for example, in the case of the tycoon, the buy trigger will be the trigger that spawns the part of your tycoon, that grants the gun. You get the idea. And the transaction trigger is the trigger that checks, does my player have enough money? Essentially, how the shop works, like I explained earlier, is first the transaction happens, does it have enough money, and then the transaction will itself activate the buy trigger to grant the item. But other things might also activate the buy trigger, so that's why they had to be separated. For example, if an item is unlockable, you don't want to have to go through the transaction trigger again. And then comes the last part, is the forget shop trigger. So this is only available if your item is unlockable. So for example, maybe you want an ability that you want your player to forget. It's going to be through the forget shop trigger that you're going to give it a value. And I'll show you how it looks in game. So over here, I'm going to grab $100. Over here, I set this shop as an unlockable shop. So when I buy it, it spends my money. Now, if I were to die, so we'll just go for the respawn over here. And I came back to buy, I have $0, but I can still get it again. And you see the message said item obtained and not you don't have enough money. So if I come over here, if I step on it, boom, cleared shop 2. Really shop 1. So if I came over here and I try to buy it, well, not enough money. So you see, I forgot that I unlocked this shop. And again, if I come back, $100, awesome, buy it, and I bought it, go back, try it again, obtain the item. Super cool, awesome. There's also an option to forget every shop. So let's say you have multiple shops that are unlocked. You can just connect this and forget every shop, and you do not have enough money to buy these items again. So cool. So let's go back to the editor so I can show you how to set up the currency manager, how to set up the reward manager, and a few little things that I included with the package that you might want to know how to play around with. So let's start with the reward manager. It's really simple. Like I said, it's earlier in the video. All it is a trigger device and a value. So for example, over here, this is the reward for 100. And the reason I made it like this is because you don't want to have to give a value to everything and have 3 gajillion rewards. You just want to have one reward of 100 and connect multiple things to the same trigger. It just simplifies everything, keeps everything clean, and you don't have to do more work than what you already did. So over here, if I were to make a reward, I just press the plus button over here, I connect the trigger, I give it a value, we're done. Then, the currency manager. The currency manager is mostly in terms of HUD displays. If you remember the item obtained or a player has not enough money, that's what the currency manager does. It just checks, and that's a nice little output that you can change. Finally, we're reaching the end of the video, and I just wanted to show you guys the HUD display. So at the bottom left, you could see that I had my little money icon. Well, it actually exposed all the parameters for you guys to use to change the icon, but also the position of everything. So these are normally hidden in the verse code. You guys can change them directly through here, and it should keep everything simple. You can also change the icon, what you want. And you can also change the anchor. So maybe instead of having it middle left and moving from that, you want it in the corner or whatever. Just keep in mind that the offsets are based on the anchor. The offsets aren't positioned on your screen. They're just offsets from the anchor. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed the little tutorial. And I am excited to see what great things you can make with this shop system. Remember, this is not just to buy items. This can be used to unlock, like if you have a tycoon with different areas that need to unlock, if you have abilities that the player can unlock. By currency, you can be creative. It can be anything you really want. So, I hope you guys have fun with this one, and see ya in the next tutorial.